What up, guys? How you doing? Let's take a look at BCH and see how it's been performing here since we had this breakout here we talked about. So, as I told you guys, I went long around 475, right when we got pretty close to above this support box I was looking for here. And, since then we've been running quite a bit. We ran up to the top of this trend line at 510-ish. We talked about this 510, 514-ish area giving us a little bit of trouble. We got rejected there. We came back down. We tested and wicked below this support box here, but we bought back up, and we managed to hold it as support here, as well as this 2-hour 20 EMA. With that little wick there, I drew a trend line across to these next wicks that we ended up getting once we came up to this resistance box again, which we rolled over, back tested this 50 EMA on the 2-hour a couple times here actually, which was also in line with this support box here, which was another back test here. So it was showing us that the bulls were in charge. They were buying up these dips here, and we got close to this apex here. And we got this beautiful, beautiful breakout. And this was the first resistance box here that I was looking at prior, which we wicked above first. Then we ended up buying up, back testing it as support. And once we got above that, we ran hard. Got rejected a little bit by this 100 EMA here. Came back down, back tested this trend line, which I ended up adding in here as we created a little bit more. And we came up to this resistance box here, and all of these resistance boxes I drew based off of all of this price action we had on the left here, with all of these wicks coming down here, this support here, these other boxes where it ran across from over here, and this price action. So it's all pretty much reacting the same way again. So when we got rejected here, we fell through here, we came back down to this same support box here. Wicked down, buyers bought us up, bounced up this trend line. We had another run, and this time we broke above. So look where we are now. So as we came up, we broke this with some force this time. So if we look over here, the last time we broke this box, right? We got rejected by it a couple times, rolled over, came up, broke it, flagged out, broke up to the next one, rejected, came all the way down to this support box. So where are we now? Well, we're running up here. We got a little bit of resistance here. I'm not sure exactly. Okay. So actually, I should have another support box here, because if we look over here, so I might do something here, because I think this would be necessary to do, because I missed that one, and I want to add it in there. So I might lower it a little bit to about there. And then let me just do this on the fly while I'm talking to you guys, plus you can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to take this price range, because I still want to keep this same area here. I think it was roughly right here. And I want to keep that in mind, and I want to keep this area in mind. So now we have our next support box. So what were we saying? So we came over, got rejected by it, rolled over, broke it, found support. Then we didn't find support, back tested this support box. We broke up here, right? Now we're wicking into this next support box, or resistance box rather. So there's a couple things that could happen. We could get up on top of here. We could try to flag out here a little bit, and then we could roll down and we could wick all the way down, whether it's to 523 again, which I'm kind of thinking that this area here is going to be the new area of support here. That's what I'm hoping for, right? And that's what I'm kind of expecting. So when we do fall back down, we're going to want to look for support to be held at 532. And if it does have a small wick, it could have a wick to this 523 and then not touch it again, because you can kind of see over here. Where was it? Over here, we ran up, got rejected, came down, wicked into this box here, right? And then we bought back up. Well, I mean, there's no way really to know. So I can't even call that anyway. But I'm going to keep that in mind, that this box here is from 523 to 532.50. So I am going to expect, and I'm not saying there's anything telling me it's going to drop right now, but I am going to expect that if we can't hold this 550 area as support, we could roll over and back test this, whether it's in a couple days or whatever. And this is going to be the area that we want to hold as support. And if we can do that, whether it's a couple times that we bounce in between here, when we finally do get above here and find support here, we'll be heading to one of our final, well, not really our final, but our, one of our next areas here, which in the longer term here is 567. And that area here is where we bounced off. We bounced pretty much last time between, well, we had a wick all the way to 509 here, but for the most part, we bounced right in between here, between this 532 and this 567. And, when we did break this 567, we had a beautiful run up and we hit the 607. And then we came back down and we could not hold it as support here. So now we're kind of doing the same thing again, coming up. Now we're wicking through here, so we could potentially find support here, maybe have a little rejection, bounce up here, so on and so forth. And this is going to be the biggest area from 567 up to, as of right now, I mean, it's going to move somewhere close to the 600 to 595 area, depending on when we hit it here, right? So that's kind of what we're doing. We're just laddering up and we're creating new support, finding resistance, back testing old support, and so on and so forth. And that's where we're at right now. So everything to me is just looking absolutely incredible. I'm loving everything about it. I don't see too many warning signs here. We're reacting great to these TD9 flashes if we even get them, or we're resetting RSI before we get them, and that's perfectly fine. So we're above a lot of resistance on this 2 hour. Let's check the 4 hour. We're above a lot of resistance on the 4 hour, and on the daily, we're going to come to this resistance here. So right now, we're testing this 50 EMA on the daily here, and that's probably going to give us a little bit of struggle. And you can see in the past here, when we did get over it, that was when we had our big takeoff. Now, prior, we were above this red resistance box. Then, when we dumped here, when we didn't manage to hold this area as support last time, this 550-ish, we dumped down here, and then we pretty much stayed below this 50 daily EMA for quite some time. So now that we've pumped above this daily 20 EMA, which is a very, very good sign, we're getting rejected right now. I mean, not really a rejection, so on and so forth, but we're, so to speak, but we're wicking above it as of right now. So 552 is going to give us a little bit of a little bit of hardship. So what we're going to need to do, obviously, is get above this area here and maybe flag out. We might have to wick back down here and retest this 532, but, this is going to be our hardest areas, this 567 to 572. Once we can get above there, if we can get above there, then we're moving on to some very, very big things here. So these are some areas that we want to keep in mind and keep our eyes on here. So let's look at the hourly again. So obviously we just had this breakout here. So this was I'm kind of trying to decide if it was a bull pennant or if it's just a pennant. So let's just, or like a falling, might have just been a falling channel. So it looks like a falling channel. So if we take a measured move of this falling channel here, where we broke, our measured move here is right to that 550.83, which we obviously hit. Now, as of right now, you can see on the hourly, we actually just broke above this support box of 550, which is a very, very bullish thing here. Are we getting any TD9 flashes? Not yet. We still have a few more hours before we could potentially get one, although we did get one back here when we first broke, but we ignored that. So it's very possible that if we try to flag here for a little bit, that we do end up having to correct from that. So we have a lot of support at this 532 and a shit ton of support at this 520 to 524, which, like I said, I'm not too sure that we're going to have to hit that again. I'm really, really banking on this area of this 532 when or if we get a big correction here. So these are the areas that I'm watching, and as of right now, this thing looks really, really good. So we're going to really want to keep an eye on this level as support here, but I'm just putting all this extra information out there because I'm not able to make videos every single second, every single day here on this, so I want to put all this information in one But I just want to keep this in mind that right now where we're at here is the first like area of a lot of resistance that we're working with here. So we're going to need some good volume coming in here to push us up, which so far we're doing a pretty good job here, but it's going to take a little bit more, most likely, than just this one candle, but we'll see. We'll see. So just keep all this in mind here. But overall, let's just go over something before I take a look here. So let's see. So this initial break of this resistance here, this kind of looks like a big descending triangle that we potentially broke out of here. And then our bigger pattern here is this one is, this kind of just looks like a big pennant here, but it could be a big symmetrical triangle. So let me take a measured move here and see what we're actually dealing with for targeted move in general here out of this pattern here. If we were to break this, we're looking at a measured move of $867. If we were, we kind of have like two patterns in one here. So if this was a descending triangle here, let's see what this measured move would be here. If we were to base it off of this here from this break, we have our targeted move of 888. So, pretty much they're roughly both in the same area here. And that, to me, makes sense that we would be potentially heading up into that area. So those are my targets there. And then another thing we can do, and this works pretty well in cryptocurrency, in my opinion, from everything I've ever done between Bitcoin and everything. If you actually, and we could even be conservative with it and go from those wicks there. This is our upper resistance line here. So if we were to continue up here, it's going to take maybe a couple weeks to get up in this level here. And you look at this upper trend line, depending on when we hit it, we could actually have a nice wick up here to almost 900. And the longer it takes, the higher the resistance here. So, it doesn't mean we have to hit this 888 target and sell the hell off. And if we were to break that, obviously we're talking some even bigger gains here, but we don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. So that's why I'm just kind of doing this step by step here, watching how everything reacts on all these support levels and see what happens here. So if we look at the weekly here, we still have this spinning top here, but to me it looks like a spinning top. But if this would actually show up properly on TradingView, we should have a pretty solid green candle where we're at right now, which is not really showing that. So this isn't a spinning top anymore. It should actually look like this, which I don't know why it doesn't show us that. But either way. So anyway, guys, I think this is a long enough video. I hope that you guys are enjoying this. And if you are, hit the like button. If you want me to do more videos like this, comment below. Really helps get these videos out there. And yeah, this thing's looking primed and ready and geared up, and I'm liking everything that it's doing. So I'm going to continue staying long and just slowly moving my stop losses up here. So I entered at that 475 area. I moved my stop loss the first time to 489, and now I'm moving my stop loss here probably to 500 or 50. Probably going to move it to 500 here, and that's just going to be how it is. I could move it if I really wanted to. Could move it to the 520, but I don't want to risk getting stopped out at all. So I'm going to keep it down at this 500, and I'll just continue to move it up to old resistance here, and as we continue up. But for now, we are looking extremely bullish. And lastly, before I go, I probably already said that 3 times today, if we look at this here, we could say that if we were to have a big drop here one of these days or tomorrow, it looks like, according to this support line, if we continue to backtest it, our low could be roughly around this 425.12 to 423.72. So it's possible we could hit that if we continue to do what we've been doing, which is back testing this trend line here. So that's something to keep in mind here if we have a big pullback somewhere tomorrow. But yeah, that's about it, guys. Have a good night. Peace.